Hey everyone, welcome to Strange Stories, where we explore near-death experiences and supernatural stories from people who've had a glimpse of the other side. If you enjoy our content, please consider liking the video and subscribing to our channel. Without further ado, let's get to the story of the day. In the most profound way possible, I was asked what I truly desired. I'm not sure how to put it into words or whether it was really a near-death experience because I wasn't dying, hurting, or sick. I had determined one night while lying in bed that my life had no meaning. I'm not sure how to characterize that sensation because I don't believe it sprang from genuine despair. It was more of a fact-based decision, almost a conclusion rather than a lament. I wasn't falling asleep. Rather, I had finished some reading and was lying in bed. And, as one does, I became immersed in ideas that led me to this conclusion. A type of overview of my personal relationships, professional achievement or lack thereof, and personal life. I desperately wanted to be an artist, a musician, a writer, and so many other things, but none of them came true in my life. I had failed to seize control of my life by the metaphorical horns. And, at the time, I believed the opportunities to do so were not only long gone, but also did not exist in my life as second chances. This life has little chance of gaining karmic ground, so I might as well abandon it. Let go. Mind you, I have no desire to die. Acceptance is more appropriate. There was nothing else to be done. Allow the attachments to go. Allow it to happen. Don't cling to something that has gone so wrong. It's alright. Just let go. Then came the oddest thing I've ever witnessed. My legs seemed to be slipping through themselves. I was aware of my legs' position, yet it felt as if my legs were gradually moving down to put me in an upright position, as if I were in space, in a vacuum with no gravity, slowly moving on an axis from horizontal to vertical. Which was bizarre enough in and of itself, but even worse was the way my body felt. You know how it feels when a part of your body goes to sleep? It's as if you've been sitting on your foot for too long, and it's starting to tingle. Imagine that sensation as a vibration that is warm and alive with energy, as though a little current were coursing through your body. Instead of being a destructive electrical current, it blossomed as a sustaining wave of love. I know, it's insane, but that was how it felt. And then, the world vanished. It felt like I was in the thickest fog conceivable at first. It was dark, but not pitch black. But I was never terrified or apprehensive. Quite the contrary. I spent what felt like an eternity feeling like I was being me, but not really me. Not in the sense that I'd spent 27 years learning. Again, I have no words to adequately explain it. But it seemed as if I existed everywhere, within everything. My molecules, for example, spanned the totality of existence, yet they became more dense in one place. They gathered in greater concentrations, and I existed separately in this location as well. It looks like the accretion disk of a newly formed planet. Small matter is dispersed everywhere, yet it congregates in one location. The planet to be exists in all of those particles as well as in the core of the accretion disk, both separately but simultaneously. However, a star seems more apt because the energy in the dense region appears to be more evident. Anyway, as I already stated, I'm at a loss for words, but the sensation was wonderful. I can only describe it as being freed. The closest thing I'd ever come to was that fantastic sensation you get when you stretch in the morning. That liberation, that relaxing sensation, like being liberated from the powers that so minutely but inexorably drag you down. Being liberated, freed, what astronauts must feel when they first encounter microgravity. The fog then began to lift, and it's lighter and more vibrant. It took me a few seconds to notice this was strange because I didn't squint. I am hypersensitive to light during the day, but it was not at all unpleasant. And I had an experience that I believe is comparable to what I've heard described as a life review, but not in the way I've ever heard it described. Everything I'd heard about it said it was like viewing your life in slow motion or something. This, however, was not the case. It was like recalling an event with everyone else, not just myself. All of the feelings and reactions, mine as well as theirs. And it was far from a full examination of my life. However, it was intriguing in that it featured multiple incidents in my life that I'd never considered before, and considerably fewer unfavorable ones than I would have anticipated. In reality, I would say that the majority were situations to which I had given little or no thought, but which appeared to have a significant positive impact on someone else's life. And then, and this is certainly unusual, and perhaps why I've never spoken about it with anyone, I had a sort of discussion. Not in the traditional sense, and I'm not sure who I'm talking to. Nonetheless, it occurred. It was unusual because my memory of it is, well, terribly and incredibly strange. It seemed as though there was my voice, though I don't think I was speaking, and the other voice seemed to be my voice, and every other voice in existence at the same time. It wasn't overbearing or overwhelming in any way. Actually, it wasn't until later that I realized or reflected on how strange it was. It wasn't like hearing a discussion either. That is, in typical everyday life, conversing with someone entails hearing one's own voice in that delicate balance of within and out, as well as hearing the other person's speech clearly outside the body and being able to discern the other's location. But this was something entirely else. It seemed as if both voices had no place. I was obviously conscious of my side of the discussion, and it still feels strange to call it that. But the other participant seemed to have the same delicate balance in and out of my body as I did. But it wasn't a body. Now, I'm not going to go into detail about the chat because I believe it was intended only for me and has no relevance here. But what that talk taught me is something I hope I never forget, and it continues to shape who I am and how I see the world to this day. To summarize, I was offered a choice. I was asked in the most profound way what I desired. I'm not sure if it was the experience, the way the question was presented, or some other undiscovered mechanism, but I had the opportunity to fully grasp the topic and the implications of my answer. In that instant, I realized everything I wanted to experience, and not just minor things. Actual life experiences, the life affirmations, what it feels like to be here, being human, being alive, which is very different from existing. I saw the woman I adored the most. I realized how badly I wanted to feel that love, to walk through life alongside her, to do everything I could with her. I realized right away how and why I wanted to make a difference in the world, what role I wished to play in contributing to the world. I'm adding my 2 cents. I'm leaving my imprint, and the true reasons for them. How could I? And why could I only do it the way I could? Why are those things unique to me, and not for any of the reasons you might think? I discovered that there are causes, emotions, and motivations within me that I'd never given myself credit for. I was also told something else, something that I assume was intended to be a direct solution to a question I had, but ended up answering many more questions than I could have ever asked. It's a major deal, but it's not an answer I can just provide to everyone else who has the same issue. Rather, it's an answer each person must come up with for themselves. As though if someone asked me what color the sky is, and I replied confidently and emphatically, blue, they would look at me as if I were insane, as though they must see the blue for themselves. I understand. This is all very corny, and the metaphysical mumbo-jumbo feels very crap-like. But if it was, I suppose it was just what I needed, because so much has changed. Everything has changed, I suppose. But the oddest portion was also the last. When I chose to return, the experience was both surprising and illuminating. As I re-entered my body, for lack of a better description, I realized that living in a body is actually very uncomfortable. A byproduct of living this kind of life, I immediately felt a kind of anguish, as if I were being wrapped in a shell that was just a tad too small. It's not painful, but it's obvious, and it definitely gave me a headache. But immediately, after experiencing the ache and letting go of the astonishment that accompanied it, I realized that it is simply an acceptable, albeit unpleasant aspect of this existence. And it informs you in an odd way that all the aches and difficulties of life are nothing compared to the immense joy and warmth you can derive from it. That the aches and pains are a minor inconvenience, that it is all worthwhile in the end. The aches and sorrows fade, but the joy, happiness, and love you experience will last forever. But you must allow it to happen without fear. And in order to truly enjoy it, you must understand why you desire it and why you placed yourself here. Like trusting you decided you wanted this life, even if you don't remember why, but trusting that you did and learning why all over again, as if that's half the fun. Ever since that fateful day, so many things are different now. I still have to focus on remembering things intentionally, but it's almost like I'm living a different life. Previously, especially in my adolescence, I had suffered bouts of despondency, but I was constantly conscious that I wasn't satisfied with my life on some level. Since that day, I've never felt the same way again, and that one minor modification appears to have altered everything else. I was forced to actively decide if I wanted this life, and when I did, well, I guess there's nothing to feel bad about. I'm not sure how to express it either. Maybe I was resentful because I thought I was put here without my input before that day. Now that I want to be here, it's all the difference in the world. So that's a condensed summary of my experience. I apologize if it does not fit with the constraints of what you're looking for, but I had to pick between letting go and returning, so I felt it would be relevant.